You with the most, doing the least. Man up. When a warrior shows, innocent smile, but guilty slink. Evil is powerless, faced by fearlessness. Fearlessness begets courage. Courage brings freedom. Not to do what you like, but what you should. To fulfill your nature, not deny it. Esteem is earned, not bought. Define yourself by your duty. Don't fit in, stand up. Boys are born, men are trained. Be your enemy's worst and your friend's best. Be as gentle with family as you are fierce with foes. Be fearless, but be respected. Be strong, but compassionate. Be accurate, but tolerant. But above all, be dangerous. Retired DIA intelligence officer, ex-DEA special agent, and warrior blower whistleblower warrior turned chaplain, teacher, leader, and truth teller. Now, America's intelligence officer, following God, leading my family, any that choose to join on our long walk to faith and freedom. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. And I don't have my usual script set up in front of me. I'm 67 years old. My nose has been broken 13 times. I've been concussed multiple times by kicks to the head and also explosive entry. So bear with me. So this is another recorded show. Sorry about that. It's just not possible. I recorded Tuesday's show on Sunday, and I'm recording Thursday's show on Tuesday because, over a week ago, we had a catastrophic house fire, house burned down. We were on our minutes on our phones to hotspotting. We ran out of minutes. So now I am at my wonderful neighbor's vet clinic where I'm recording this show as I guest on their guest internet. So please bear with us. We're doing really well. Patience and prayers are what we are asking for. Pray for my girls, my wife Rachel, my daughters Isabel and Anna Lee. They're doing great. They're doing fantastic. But it is trying times, and it's very difficult losing a home that we'd only been in for 3 years. Moving was traumatic enough for them, but we're doing well. Appreciate all the prayers, all the cards, checks, texts, emails, all the people that have stopped by. What happened was, I just had a chimney rebuild, a fireplace rebuild, first fire in it. It caught on fire. So obviously the contractor was negligent, but neighbors stopped by unbidden, stayed the whole day to help out and move us. And they've been calling on us and checking on us. Everybody's been showing up. Aaron from Clay Clark called today as well. Just everybody has been incredible and so appreciative of that. We're with USAA. That's the military company. I've been with them for 40 years. There was some doubt if they were still as good as they used to be. And I'm happy to report that they are definitely as good as they used to be. They've really come through wonderfully. And it looks like that our internal contents losses will not be more than the policy. So that means whatever cannot be restored will be replaced at their cost. And we just found out yesterday from the structural assessors that the structure itself, because of the chimney went to the attic, went to the second floor, exceeds the policy. By not much, but exceeds it. So that means a whole new house. So my wife is actually very happy. She gets to design a whole new house. I'm actually in her fancy schmancy expedition today, seeing if it works a little better for my purposes. But that's where we're at on that. And, special shout out to a bunch of folks, Dakota Proctor, who stopped by. We didn't even know him, stayed the whole day and helped out. The other day we were in a local restaurant and he walked in and I was, of course, thanking him profusely. And I walked up to the waitress and said, hey, put his tab on my tab as a thank you. And she laughed and goes, well, he already just put your tab on his tab. And I'm like, well, put it back. And so I won that fight. But gosh, Yeshua's 2 Christic commandments of love God with your whole heart, mind, and might and soul. God is loving us back with all his might and power. And love your neighbor yourself. Our neighbors are loving us as themselves. It turns out that if you follow the 2 Christic commandments, they go right back at you. No real surprise there. But wonderful notes. Jeffrey Oldham, said, hey, I'll stay with you because I'm asking, we don't really need funds, although thanks for sending them. If you're sending them, that's great. We appreciate them. I do ask if you're a patreon.com/Jeffrey Prather supporter at the $5, $15, or $25 level. Just stay with me. We've got the content going. My daughter Isabel surprised me. She had content up I didn't even see. It was great about the fire. Then she was already publishing that, just blowing my socks off. And then if you're a jeffreyprather.locals.com member, please stay with that. And one of the guys stopped by today, Kevin Hancock, who had helped at the fire, didn't even know, goes, yeah, I just signed up for locals as well. So yeah, I'm just overwhelmed. And some of the young older guys were looking at the podcast, which is great because we've left them a mess and it's up to them, the 20 somethings. And there was another Patreon member, Cynthia, who said, hey, I'm sticking with you. I followed your advice and didn't go to January 6th because you said it was going to be a trap. And so I have special needs kids, and if I'd gotten rolled up in that, I wouldn't be able to take care of my special needs kids. So thanks, I'm sticking with you. So, oh my gosh, those stories just move my heart so much. So I appreciate them so much. We read them all together. We cry over them all together. We pray over them all together. So we are so blessed and grateful for all of you. So thank you so much for that. In the meantime, I'm trying to get by without my scripts. Yes, I know this water bottle heats up and the particles come off and estrogenicize me, but our big RO system is down when we're getting our Berkey up. Try to get the Berkey up and the sink started leaking. So it's one thing after another. But this is Flip the Script and Spotlight the Gaslight. And so Tuesday's show, I was talking about this Yarvin Dark Enlightenment, which leads to Dark Maga, which is a real threat for the youth. Even though we hold the youth, we hold the human terrain. So if you haven't seen Tuesdays, really, you should see Tuesday's show to then understand Thursday's show. But I thought I would look more into his stuff to be just, not fair. There's no fair. Even my kids know that life's not fair. But my initial notes on looking at Yarvin's gentle intro to the unqualified reservations, he's definitely unqualified. And like Musk's fundamental mistake of AI is intelligence rather than a fast parrot. I've already talked about that on Tuesday. I've already talked about that previously. Is Musk's big mistake? This was under, is Musk evil or just dumb? And I said he's just dumb. He's kind of like Sheldon. If you've seen that TV show, the boy genius who is super intelligent, but he's an emotional moron. His younger sister is an emotional genius, and he just never gets it. And one time when he's supposedly going to be put in charge, he goes, yeah, well, I'll just run everything. And he would have been worse than Hitler. So same thing with Musk, same thing with Yarvin. And, Musk is enthralled with, or Peter Thiel of PayPal is particularly enthralled with Marvin. But so is Steve Bannon, because, he's Catholic, and Yarvin goes after Protestants in particular. I suppose. But again, Musk's fundamental mistake is thinking AI is actual intelligence. It's not. It's just fast parroting. Sometimes when I'm doing a show, I have some AI stuff on my different search engines, which are never Google, by the way, Swiss cows. But sometimes they're right, and a lot of times they are wrong, but they're just collectors. They are not initiators of intelligence. And just because they collect fast doesn't mean it's right. So it's basically a huge scam that people are falling for. And I see this mold bug, Benicius mold bug is his pen name. His real name is Yarvin. is making the same initial assumption. Just as soon as I got into his stuff, immediately I saw that it was invalid. I've seen this a lot in my competitive consultancy intelligence work in biotech. That's GRIN, genetics, robotics, information, nanotechnology. That's my real job, which nobody sees, but it's only for the good guys. But the big assumption I see that people make there is that COVID was real, and that it was not man-made. The fluorine cleavage clearly indicates it was man-made. It wasn't a lab leak from the lab in Wuhan. It was sent there and released. It's documented. It's quite evident. But when you base all of your assumptions on a faulty base, then all of your assumptions are wrong. So I'm always doing that with my competitive intelligence biotech clientele, only the good guys, and they're being proven right because they're all failing because they were built on scientism sand, not science. So the same thing goes with here. So this Moldbug Yarvin guy starts off and says, I think we can all agree that we want separation of church and state. That's what the founders said. No, I don't agree with that at all. That's completely wrong. And that's where the Supreme Court of the United States has gone wrong. And then he goes on to attack religion subtly and build his cathedral analogy, saying that, the Ivy League schools, Harvard, it used to be a seminary, which is all true. And this is classic grounds for the cathedral, for this religious ism to be built. And certainly I'm against big church. I've done that for a long time. But the Ivy League is the hunting ground for the intelligence elite. It always has been. And he ignores that completely. And of course, I say the deep state, the intelligence agencies, and the global cabal is the international intelligence agencies, Five Eyes, Seven Eyes. And of course, his initial premise that we are all for separation of church and state is wrong. That is not what the founders wanted at all. The first Holy Bible was published by Congress. Services were held in Congress. The Holy Bible was published for use in public schools, for grammar and syntax, but also for moral instruction. It is the straight baseline for civilization. Mosaic law is the basis for worldwide civilization. If you do these things, you'll be closer to God and you'll be better off. The Mosaic 10 Commandments and the Tanakh, the extra 2 books, 5 books of Moses, other 2 books. They're in Congress. They're at the Supreme Court. Of course, if you go on a tour now, they say, well, those are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which is crap. It's not true. But his premise is we want separation of church and state is wrong. What the founders wanted was they did not want a state church because they were coming from England. England had split with Rome and established the Church of England. The head of the Church of England is the king. And I have English friends, and if you are around them, they're not very spiritually oriented. They're not very oriented towards Yeshua. They just kind of take their religion very blandly because it's an extension of their politics, and they're really still worshiping this royalty, this pedo family of royals. And I'm always aghast at Bible folks in the Bible Belt are like, yeah, I love that King James Bible. Why? Are you American? Why do you want a Bible? The Pilgrims came over here with the Geneva Bible, the first Bible printed in English. When they saw what was in it and could read it in English, it wasn't in Latin. They're like, we got to go. We've been lied to. We got to give up everything and go. And they did. That's a long, painful story. But then King James Bible was purposefully supplanting the Geneva Bible. Why? Because it was approved by an earthly king. So anyway, the founders did not want separation of church and state at all. Thomas Jefferson signed his letters, yours in Christ. Benjamin Franklin wanted the Great Seal of the United States to be Moses parting the Red Sea with a pillar of fire behind him. They thought of themselves clearly as the new Israelites and America as the new Jerusalem. It's all in the records. All you got to do is read the Federalist Papers. So that's not at all separation of church and state. It was simply no state religion. So he starts off from a flawed premise. Why? Because I think he's either lying on purpose, which I suspect he is. I don't think he's a dumb guy. And he wants to really destroy religion. And he wants to replant it with another. This is the latest version of human secularism. Hey, this is the latest great idea, whether it's Epicureanism or Stoicism or Marxism or liberalism or progressivism. It's another manism, and it's flawed, and it's going to fail because we are fallen, not because of original sin. That's a false doctrine. That's a heresy, but because we are fallen, and we will always regress without God's law and without following Yeshua, who fulfills the Torah. So I right away found his stuff wanting. But if you don't have a straight line to measure the crooked lines against, which Thiel and Musk don't, they are just now being exposed to Christic teachings. And a lot of them aren't Christic, they're Christian, which is why I say Christic, and I say Mosaic, not Judaism or Judaic. It's a problem. Now, it's a step in the right direction because Oklahoma, where I'm at now, is all red, all Trump, and they just put Bibles back in schools. So we're going back to the way we started the country. So that is really good for moral instruction. And so that's going back to the founders' intent. And he also goes into the Pilgrims and Puritans' intent. And we're not following the Pilgrims and Puritans' intent. We want to follow and guide off of the founders. The founders are a long way from the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were a start, but that's all. So that's really important to understand and to grasp. So I wanted to start off, really talking about that and hitting that hard. And I just don't think anybody really talks to them in a way that is a foundation of biblical truth and Christic reality to measure everything else against. If you don't go with Torah, biblical truth and law, and you don't follow Yeshua Christic protocols, it's never going to work. It's just another failed idea. So anyway, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Next thing I want to talk about is a big event, and that is Trump's April 2nd External Revenue Service kickoff. That is really big. That's not just External Revenue Service is for tariffs, but that's to get rid of the Internal Revenue Service eventually. And while you can pursue that path through state nationals, not through sovereign citizens, that is an oxymoron, but through state nationals, where you can disenroll yourself legally from the process, where your capitalized letters under maritime law in blue letter ink on your birth certificate and everything is you're a corporate entity owned by the state, and you can go through the legal process to get yourself out of that. But the Internal Revenue Service is how the deep state steals hardworking people's monies and then uses them for their insane pedo, drug, arms, dark economy projects overseas to overthrow countries, destabilize countries, and fund African midget, zombie, transsexual, draggy, whatever, all the kind of crazy programs. They classify them and you never hear about them. But even more important is that this will, if you lessen the burden on the American taxpayer, or even get rid of the burden on the American taxpayer, and put it on these international corporations, which are all big international transnationals, which is what Yarvin stuff is leading to, is corporate regional transnational control of areas of the world by Amazon, PayPal, Google, and not country boundaries anymore, because they're not really bound by country boundaries. Then you have this CEO monarch, which I'm sure Trump would only be too happy to, with all these tech oligarchs, Thiel and Musk, running corporate regions of the world. That's dark enlightenment. That's dark MAGA. That's what I talked about on Tuesday. And that's bound to fail because it's based upon false assumptions. And it's just a real subtle attack on religion, which is fine to attack religion, but really they're trying to attack God. It's not God-based. So God chose Israel, but America chose God. And it was prepped that way by the Iroquois Confederation ahead of time, by the Great Spirit. They already prepped the ground here for all of that. And so getting rid of or lessening the Internal Revenue Service will lessen the burden on the hardworking, patriotic, family-oriented small business entrepreneur in America. And that is the engine that runs the greatness of the American capitalist economy. It's not big anything, it's small biz everything that makes the difference. And if you turn that loose, America will come roaring back. And so that's very exciting. I was talking to some of the young 20-something movers, and they were aware of this. And I said, this is great for you, and I'm glad you're following this. And by the way, I'm sorry we're leaving you such a mess. But that External Revenue Service, April 2nd, is a sea change and really good for American small business. On other subjects, the USS Spruance and is a destroyer, a missile destroyer, with a U.S. Coast Guard law enforcement detachment for maritime interdictions, is going back with another vehicle and another ship. The USS Gravely, also a missile destroyer. And they are not going off someplace far away. They're going to the border to enforce the border. They're in the Pacific down enforcing the border. And this story has been reported, but I don't think the significance of this has gotten across, or maybe the mainstream lamesteam fake news don't want you to see the significance of this, but they're going into the Pacific Ocean down off California, Mexican waters to do maritime interdiction of law enforcement along with Coast Guard. Coast Guard does all that stuff time. Well, who's coming across there? What's coming across there is fentanyl components coming across there. Who's that? Where's that coming from? China is coming. So what's going on? Trump is going to maritime interdict at the high seas Chinese fentanyl shipments. This is another war aspect. This is another fifth generation war aspect that's going to happen without being a declared war. But that's exactly what this is. Naval high seas engagements. That's naval warfare. That's what happened before the revolution and after the American Revolution. So this is very, very significant, but a lot of people I don't think are talking about it to this level. And so that's great. And I don't think Trump will blink. I don't think Trump will back down on any of this. At the same time, the USS Carl Vinson and the USS Harry Truman carrier strike groups, 2 carrier strike groups, which is a major amount of force. How you project force overseas is through carrier groups. Everyone's done that since World War II. Refer to Midway or Tora 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 if you're not familiar with that. And the Houthis are back on the terrorism list that Pedo Joe took off. And this is a step in the wrong direction, in my estimation, because they are going back to make sure that the shipping lanes, Red Sea and Ader Gulf shipping lanes remain open by having these 2 carrier groups. Well, the last time they were there, our carriers were attacked by drones and small missiles, Iranian missiles, like 147, 150 times. And they had to flee the area. Now, the Houthis have said that they are going to resume their attacks on the shipping lanes, and therefore Trump is sending, or Hegseth is sending, the carrier groups back. So one carrier group is this giant force that is designed to do things like take on another giant naval force or to invade a country. Because in a naval group, you have your air, you have your naval aviators, you have your Army infantry, that's the Marines. You have all the elements to project power overseas. But they're going up against a nimble, mobile, small Houthi, Iran-backed drone armed force that the last time forced U.S. carriers to flee because they were such big targets. They're not designed really to work against drones. They are designed to work against jets. They're designed to work against missiles. But we've seen this movie before. We've seen this script before. And so this was happening with one carrier group. So what happens when you put two carrier groups there? Well, you've made twice as many targets. So is that the smart play? No, not at all. I think it's a terrible play. I think it is at the behest of the military-industrial complex, because now you can come up with the next, they're already doing the next F-45, I think it is, which probably won't fly at all or fly for an hour or something. But you're just putting in sailors in harm's way. And I think the Vincent was already out. One of them was already out. I think it was the Carl Vincent was already out, and now they're extending their tour out longer. But I just don't think this is the right force mix. The right force mix was, after the Russians had a big bear presence in Afghanistan for a decade, a very small, no more than a couple hundred of Green Berets went into Afghanistan and within weeks overthrew the Taliban government and just amazed everybody by what they could do. Has the Pentagon learned their lessons? Evidently not, or they have forgotten them, because if they had, and I love to try to get one of the, well, they probably won't comment. They're selling Horse Soldier bourbon now, but at that offline, they would agree with me on this assessment, that putting a big military conventional footprint in there, and those guys, those sailors will go on leave, and they could be kidnapped or killed or whatever. This is where, as opposed to Trump's new CIA advisor saying, let's get out of the Middle East. Not only are we giving more arms, more bombs, and more money to Israeli Zionists to kill more Gazans, and it looks like they're going to start seeding guys, annexing Gaza. We're now even making a bigger footprint in the region, which we should not be doing at all. We don't need to. We don't need the oil and gas if we're turning it on back here. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this either because Trump is being paid off, or because his advisors have convinced him, because they've been paid off, or he's making some kind of deals behind the table. Remember, the Saudis are brokering the U.S.-Russia talks, really without Ukraine, to end the Ukraine war. But they do that anyway because it's prestige for them. So, big mistake here. More Zionism, more military-industrial war pigs, and expect losses here from this big carrier footprint. Very big error. And another very big error is the FBI has established a Tesla domestic terrorism task force. Of course, Tesla dealerships have now been hit by bombs. Why? Well, because Elon Musk runs Twitter. Twitter is not a social media site. It's an intelligence collection platform, and it's an information operations PSYOP platform. All the executives are still or really still part of the intelligence community. They're all NSA, DIA, DEA, CIA, all of that. But Musk is in Trump's camp. He's in Trump's camp because, again, I think he's on board with the dark enlightenment thing, but he is in Trump's camp. Is he doing good stuff? Yeah, of course he's doing good stuff. Is Doge working? Department of Government Access? Yeah, it's working. How do we know it's working? Because they're attacking him. Uh, so the first time I ever got shot at was in the Las Vegas salient in the 80s with my counterparts, the Honduran troops. And you always know that there are bad guys in with the troops that you're training. It's just a fact of life. You got to live with it. If you can't live with it, you shouldn't be in special forces. But they were getting shot at right along with me. So then we're on the same side. So Musk is now being attacked. His dealerships are being destroyed. His stock is down like 15.4% because he has taken a side. Actions reveal motives. He's on the side of Trump. He became on the side of Trump after the first failed assassination attempt, but not before, but after, when he saw that the deep state was that incompetent that they couldn't pull off a JFK assassination anymore. So they're attacking him. How's that going to work out? If they studied Christ and they understood what happens when you suppress, if they studied under conventional warfare, if they studied history, Sir James Glubb, Fate of Empires, if they studied truly human nature, they know the more they attack Musk, just like the more they attacked Trump, just like the more they attacked Flynn, just like the more they attacked me, the more popular and strong we become. Just like the more they attacked Christ and Christians, the more popular and strong. It's even in the Star Wars. If you cut me down, I'll become 1,000 times more powerful at the end of the Star Wars. Where do you think that comes from? You think he made that up? So they're making the same stupid mistakes again. And who loves bombs? Who has a bomb obsession? Who has a phallic pipe bomb obsession? I forget who the EOD guys I had, but we were laughing about it. It's the FBI. Remember the famous January 6th fake pipe bomb that everybody walks around, the dog doesn't hit on, the Secret Service walks by because it's a training inert mechanism. And whatever fake op the FBI is running, they always have to, and let's put a bomb in there too. Yeah, a bomb. And so I'm just throwing it out there. Who's obsessed with bombs and bombings? Always. It's the FBI again. So then what do? Hey, we'll have an FBI terrorism task force to investigate the bombings, investigate domestic terrorism. The FBI doesn't investigate terrorism. It creates it. The FBI doesn't solve crime. It manages it. The FBI is not a law enforcement organization. It is an intelligence organization with law enforcement functions. The FBI is a storefront for cover operations for the deep state. So I'm sure they've initiated this, and now they're going to run it. And because it's going to be an ongoing investigation. And what are you ever going to hear about it? Because it's an ongoing investigation, and because it's terrorism, it's classified, and because it's an ongoing investigation, we can't comment on it. And so, and Patel, where are you? And Trump, where are you? And are you really falling for this again? Are you that stupid? Really? I mean, respectfully, it just boggles my mind. Or, you're sold off. You're sold out, I guess. So, that's because Doge has become part of a counter insurgency of the deep state intelligence community, because the deep state has infiltrated everything. And of course, there's this group that calls themselves Tesla Takedown. And they say, we're peaceful, but somebody else is doing the bombs. We're peaceful. But Musk is, wait for it, destroying our democracy. Who always says that? Destroying our democracy. Well, that's Blantifa. That's Black Lives Matter. That's Antifa. That's Trantifa. That's Demantifa. That's always them, because democracy is mob rule, and they've got the mob. And so Doge is working because it is really a counter-insurgency operation for the infiltration of the intelligence communities into everything. So this will backfire Musk will become even more popular. I don't think he's behind it, but could be. But the left just continues to do the same thing over and over and make the same mistakes because they're obsessed with the mistakes they're making, but also because they don't study human nature, that we are fallen, that we will become selfish, will become evil. We're not the Disney, always nice guys, like the Snow White flop. They don't study fate of empires. They all last about 250 to 275 years. Sir James Glubb, and we are there. You can read that again if you haven't. I refer to the same things. Or you don't understand Mosaic law, the truth of it, the eternal truth of it, and you don't understand the two Christic commandments. That if you follow these, you'll be closer to God. We certainly do now. Love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul, and turns out God loves you back. You just keep having these providence things happen day after day, showing us that God is loving us and God has got this under control. And my wife just keeps saying that. And then love your neighbor as yourself. Well, our neighbors are loving us as themselves, as I've been telling you. So 10 commandments, 2 Christian commandments, 2 native commandments are not for God, they're for us. And actually, Yeshua says that Sabbath was not made for God, it was made for man. It's one of the most genius things is to have a Sabbath and take a break. But anyway, big mistake where they're letting the FBI have another task force, and you'll never see anything come of it. And remember, I said that for sure. But going back to scriptural truth as well, they say they have just discovered massive structures and tunnels, 8 giant tunnels and 5 massive structures, 2 kilometers deep, down under the Giza pyramids. And this is actually not really news. I've known these existed for quite some time. The Egyptian government has suppressed this and has not allowed anybody to go in there. The Sphinx is hollow. It's much older because there's water residue around the base of it. And the pyramids, which were covered in white granite and topped with gold and gold antenna, were Tesla energy centers and battery centers to generate and fertilize, kind of like copper gardening that my daughter Isabel does on a grand scale. And they also identified with the Milky Way, the river Nile in the sky, and corresponded to star systems, but they can be seen from space, and they are clear markers, and they have the dimensions of the Earth on them as well. So this is clearly pre-flood Nephilim, where the sons of God, the fallen angels, saw the daughters of man and found them not beautiful. That's a bad translation. It's as fit extensions for fifth and sixth dimensional beings to fit into a 3-dimensional being. And that results in the giants. And Goliath and his brothers are the last of those. That's the real significance of that story that nobody gets. They still do the silly hand sling. It wasn't a hand sling. It was a trebuchet. It was a shepherd sling, handheld trebuchet. So he didn't have to get close to him. The latest show about David shows that in that he's going up close to him and avoiding his javelins. The whole point was not to get close to him, or maybe it was atlatls, I can't remember. But the trebuchet gave him the distance. You want to be able to hit your enemy at distance. But again, people don't do their homework. They don't dive deeply enough to understand what's going on. And the real significance is this is the end of the survivors of the pre-flood Nephilim, where if you look at the megalithic rock structures all around the world, Japan, um, Peru, Bolivia, I've seen them. The wildest thing is Pumapuco in Bolivia, where the rock is precision cut to hold metal and structures of advanced tech that are long since gone, but the precision cut megalithic rock structures still exist. And so that's starting to come out in maybe it's not tombs. And that was the stupidest thing. Some stupid archaeologist, there's no evidence. There was never a sarcophagus in there in the Giza pyramid. I talk about a lot about this in christchaplaincy.com. Chaplaincy it looks like the Ark of the Covenant was in that granite box in that first tomb. Now, Scripture says, that they made that out on the road on the 40 years. That's what Scripture says. So I'm not just disputing Scripture of what was written. It's just like where God gives Moshe, the 10 laws, and then he gives you all these incredibly detailed instructions of where to put everybody. I'm not saying that Moses didn't say that. I'm saying Scripture is true, but is often misinterpreted. So my take there is the Ark of the Covenant already existed. It was a world device, kind of like in the old Superman movie, and it was stolen and taken. That's why all that stuff stopped working. And certainly all these megalithic cut stones around the world held other devices as well. And there's spiral staircases down these 8 giant tunnels and other things happening. But will we see any of that? Probably not, because they don't want you to see truth. Why aren't we looking at the towers on the moon? They don't want us to see that. Why aren't we looking at the obvious life forms that it has been caught on Mars cameras? Because they don't want us to see that at all. You want to see the truth of that? Then look at the unfiltered pictures of Mars. They are not red, and they have since admitted that NASA was putting a red filter on the Mars pictures. Look it up. It's all a script. It's all a psyop. But I'm not saying the world's flat. That's a misreading, a clear misreading of Scripture. I'm not saying that the guys aren't in the space station and all of that. But making some headway on U.S.-Russian Ukraine talks, not typically with the Ukrainians, and certainly not with Zelensky. Zelensky has got to keep this thing going. If he doesn't keep this thing going, he's going to get killed. He's desperate to keep this thing going. But he is being aced out very clearly. The talks are happening in Riyadh. The main part of the talks are about the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which was in 22 and 23. So the Black Sea Grain Initiative, with Putin took that port a while back. The grain comes out of the black soil of Ukraine, which is one of the world's breadbaskets, which big companies have now taken over. And so they want to get that back. So what's going to happen here is they're going to renew that Black Sea Grain Initiative. They're going to renew those fields. And Ukraine is just going to become a failed nation. It's going to be cut up because it was never really, it was a borderland. Anyway, Ukraine means borderland. And, Zelensky can keep saying, attack Russia, or we're going to send in U.S. troops. But Moscow wants the 4 provinces that have always identified themselves as Russian provinces is Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. And they want Russian fertilizer exports, which is great because we need Russian fertilizer exports. So what's going to happen is little Draghi Zelensky is going to keep screaming because he wants to live. And the big boys at the table are just going to go around him. And all this stuff is going to happen. And the war will probably continue on because Zelensky wants to stay alive, but it will not have much going. There'll be some sporadic clashes, and these will be mostly initiated by Ukraine against Russia. And eventually those Russian forces will continue to wipe out the Ukrainian forces in this regard. And I think that they'll violate that. I think because, again, this is a deep state war, and deep state wars don't have any objectives other than to keep them going. Look at what happened to Afghanistan. We're still giving money to the Taliban. We didn't win. Well, the Green Berets, the horse soldiers, won within weeks. And they said there were two wars. There was the one we won, and then there was the one, the military industrial and big army and big navy and Delta and six, everybody else wanted. And what happened with that? Nothing. It just kind of petered out. Just the same thing with Korea. Vietnam was a clear loss. So that's what's happening there. On the domestic front, RFK has canceled flu shot ads of get your flu shots. Remember, under Pete O'Joe, you see these unbelievable commercials of get your COVID vaccinations and vaccinate your babies. And I guess I found out, I said, I think last show, Big George Foreman, the great story of a fighter who lost and then found his faith, had a near-death experience, very similar to mine, where God actually spoke to me, killed me. I was dead, the witnesses say. And then I came back, with this message, I love you. It was an all-encompassing, loving, hesed is the Hebrew word I've since learned for that. And then this is right. And then work harder, which surprised me because I've always worked really hard. And then have faith, which was certainly not me, because at that time I did not have the verbiage of have faith and didn't understand that faith. We define faith as a wisdom, an experiential wisdom of things unseen by most, except for those with eyes to see. So if you go through initiation training where you learn to see electromagnetic bioluminescence, halos, auras around, you don't have to just have Correllian photography. You can adjust your mechanism to see that. I've taught thousands to do that. But anyway, RFK is cutting those flu shot ads, and that's a real step in the right direction. I tell everybody I talk, I just talk to some of the movers. The head of the moving company, he's got a new 7-month-old. I said, don't get him vaccinated. Everybody's like, no, we're not doing that. Everybody is realizing that very clearly and not following any of that. So those are the key stories that I think are really most important to follow right now. And I'm sorry I can't be live and talk to you back and forth. I'm talking to you via Patreon and locals, although nobody really ever talks in locals. I know I say live feed, but if you write, I'll try and write you back. And if you email me at jp@jeffreyprather.com, I'll try and email you back. And you can always catch me live, until I get internet back up working, first Sunday of every month at christchaplaincy.com. We're on Facebook, we're on GoToMeeting, where you can actually talk with us, and we're also on the website christchaplaincy.com, and all the previous services and sermons are on there as well, including Rachel's the day of the fire. She's actually sitting in front of the fire. There's a message from the missus where she's sitting in front of the new fireplace before it went up. But my wonderful daughter Isabel is getting vids up and getting that taken care of. And we are jumping back to Ohio to see my 97-year-old World War II vet dad, who adopted me and then adopted my brother and then adopted my sister and then adopted my other sister, and is just everything that a man should be. Was married for 60 years, and just the head of a Patron, the dawn. In fact, I did a guest show with Tommy Kerrigan where all I did was extol the virtues of my dad. How I was afraid to join the football team. I mean, I wrestled, I played basketball, baseball, uh, boxed, but I was afraid to join the football team. And he just took me to a karate dojo and started training with me for years. And that, changed everything for me. And said, your children will emulate your behavior, but at its lowest level. And that's all he said. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a gem to store away. So I'm going to go see him because not only is he a great dad, but he's an even greater granddad. My girls adore him. My wife, who's lost her father now, adores him. And he lives with my brother, whose wife is a nurse who takes care of him full time. Again, God loving us well. And we are stabilizing now. The clothes are being cleaned, and I'll be back in a couple weeks. We haven't even started on the new house, and it hasn't even been assessed yet. So will be a year at least, in the guest house. We haven't had TV for a week. We haven't missed it at all. I've been reading Live Free or Die by John Ringo to my girls, and they love it. That's the molasses syrup interstellar war. It is hilarious. Still trying to get John on, and we'll soon have the capability again, hopefully, of having guests. I've got a bunch of great guests lined up. Just can't get them on right now until I figure this out. And I'm something of a dinosaur. But, bear with us, have patience, send prayers. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you so much for your emails, calls, cards, checks, prayers, everything. We so appreciate and are honored and blessed by all of them. And we are doing fine. And we know you are there for us. So remember, the gun is not the answer. You are. The gun is a tool in a toolbox of tactics, techniques, and practices. Trump is not the answer. God is. Trump is a temporary advocate in a shifting, stormy sea of political power alliances, riding the tides. To see the crooked lines of man, find the straight line of biblical truth. If you are wildly popular, you are undoubtedly wrong. If you are mocked, made fun of, and mistreated, you're on target. If you are waiting for adulation and praise, join the circus. Ignore your critics. Cherish your friends. Know your chain of command. Delineate your duty. Triage your priorities. God, family, clan, tribe, nation. To become spirit-filled, empty ego. The only real initiation for a warrior is battle. True certification for a soldier is the enemy. It's not about how you comport yourself in victory, but in defeat. It's not how you perform in public, but in private. Be grateful, and you will become grace-filled. Our times here are like waterfall drops. Savor and share the moment, because all too suddenly and soon